Good evening, SRA Nation, and welcome to Season 12.
Today is going to be a new challenge, aside from being sand for. We're racing on the surface of the sun, apparently.
Heading down towards the main start line.
Maximizing that track just behind, that's exactly what we were talking about, that one corner. So critical to your lap time, you have to send it. Misses the apex curving there by a little bit.
Everybody's now bunched up, and you do not want that.
Rewind now at the intersection 1 in the spot you really don't want to, but the fight's not over.
Still there on the inside, and the McLaren's still not going to give the place up.
And we're off and away for SRA.
Good evening, SRA Nation. We are here for Season 13, Round 4 at the Nurburgring Grand Prix track. For Season 13, Round 4, I'm your host, Big Daddy. I'm joined in the commentary booth this evening by Ryan Van Epps. Ryan, how are you doing this evening?
Doing great. Glad to be back at another race here, another week. Same old drivers, same old racing, different track, different conditions. Always excited for a new round to see what it's got in store for us.
Absolutely. We have had some great racing up to this point so far. We're at the turning point of this season, so we're going to start really seeing all these folks buckle down and try to really capitalize on any kind of opportunities that they have to score a few more points.
Absolutely. Today we got the possibility of rain in the forecast. Everybody knows rain is the great equalizer when it comes to racing, brings all the guys together. Some people may excel in it, some people may struggle in it, but everyone's going to be fighting their own little battle. So it brings the field a little bit closer together and makes things a lot more interesting, so it should be great for the viewers.
Absolutely. Rain is always one of those ones where it's almost more of a drive to survive rather than anything else. Certainly should present some great opportunities for overtakes. Some folks are going to be a little bit more willing to take those risks of going offline.
Yeah, looking at the leaderboards here, for the drive in the rain and the practice servers, it's a little bit different conditions per driver, but it looks like right now Aaron Anderson, the once D5 driver, made D4 driver, is sitting at the top of the leaderboard with a 202. And as we remember from last week, he had a really bad race, or really unfortunate race. Started out in the front, got knocked down all the way to the back, and ended up fighting his way back and held fastest lap the entire race from the back of the field. So looking to see what he can do here tonight, see if he can make a better race for himself and bring that #1 practice spot to a win here for himself.
Absolutely. We were looking at some last-minute practice earlier this evening, and Aaron Anderson was finding his way right up there at the top of the leaderboard in that last session as well. So not just a matter of, maybe he had better conditions, because wet weeks are always a little tough with SRA for the leaderboards, just because, one session could be very wet, another could be just a little wet. You could even end up with a dry session somewhere in there. So the times are always really tough to tell until you get everyone into a session together, putting down laps at the same time. And those conditions, he was sitting pretty up at the top. So certainly he's putting himself in a good position, hopefully anyways, for a strong finish tonight to make up for last week's misfortunes at Misano.
Yeah, and as we know, with a wet race, especially into a turn 1 like Nurburgring here, with a very, very sharp hairpin turn, qualifying is huge tonight. Getting out into that front spot, those front 4 rows, going to be a little bit safer out there for you rather than being mid-pack, where visibility is going to be very low coming into turn 1. Things can go awry pretty quickly, so these drivers are going to really be looking for those top 4 rows in qualifying today to give themselves the best chance making it out of turn 1 alive.
Absolutely. Just staying out of spray is going to be a huge benefit to any driver who's able to make that happen. Especially further out front, you can get out into the clean air, just not have to worry about what's going on around you as much or anything that can have you happening back in the mid-pack. Definitely is going to make your race a little bit easier, a little bit less stress, a little bit less likely to have a mistake.
Absolutely.
And of course, mistakes are going to be killer here tonight. With that said, let's take a quick look at the team standings. Racing so far up here at the front of the field, we've got Team Lake Effect of Kevin Johnston and Rob Moorhead in the Mercedes, sitting at 325 points, with Race X Esports of one of the other Johnstons, JP Johnston, and Justin Griswold in the Ford Mustang GT3, just 3 points behind. A little bit larger gap back to third place with Champion Motorsports CEL of Sean Williams and Scott Johnston. Williams is another one who's still looking pretty strong here this weekend. At 269 points, so 56 points back from the lead. We've got Better Call Steve of Steven Music and Steve Foster in the Ferrari 296 with 256 points. Crazy Rabbits Racing of Justin Moffat and Matt Melanson at 254. Baseline Racing Turbo Time of Alexander Giordano and Landon P in the Honda NSX. One of my favorite cars, sitting there at 241 points. OBDA Castle and Cauldron Esports of Stefan Buckley and Raf Cab and Alexis RCF at 214. P8 of Baseline Racing Secret Santas in the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo 2 of Caleb Tenney and Spencer Taft at 188 points. Another really close group right here with Red Eye Racing of John Anson and Eric Rudderham at 186 in the Audi. Blind Babushkas of Hesham Rimsk and Stephen Dutton at 180 points. Turbo Time Racing of Ryan Garrity and Robert Lacey in the Ferrari 296 at 163 points. Sitting really close behind them are a couple more teams. Plan E Racing Coke of Kyle Cumber, solo driver here, with sitting in there with 161 points, right behind Turbo Time. Ope Racing of Matt Mattisey and Darren Robichaud and Bentley Car Best Car with 160 points. In P13. P14 is Dark Horse Renegades with Henry Ramirez and Jake Battle in the Mustang at 148 points. Red Cars Go Faster of Mert Mertson and Justin Rosenthal in P15. MHR OBDA Keys Hold the Handbrakes in P16 of Thomas Greer and Stephanie Fisher, sitting at a tie for P15 technically, with 141 points, tied there with Mertson and Rosenthal. Baseline Racing Holiday Inn Express of Jovry GTG and Francisco Astudillo at 119 points. Baseline Racing Last Minute Shoppers of Kyle Miller and Steven Sarver at 108 points. Dive Bomb Bandits of Jacob Gursky and Vincent Nicollet at 99 points. P20 Black Sheep Motorsport, Matt Anderson and Brett Swift in the Porsche 992. Great to see Brett still out here. I've raced against him for quite a few seasons, and great to see that he's still driving the Porsche as well. Sitting P20 in the team standings. P21 Bruce Von Campus of Ian Demler and Roger Rodriguez in the McLaren. P22 Overboost of Aiden Burke and Tavis Patro in the Aston V8. Madhouse Racing SYS of Aaron Anderson, who was our promotion up from D5. In 23, MHR Nayslayer of Jason Pinkard. In P24, APX Dynamics of Vishal Sahara in P25. And Brewhop Brewing of Bruce Hopkins, P26. And as we take a look at the driver standings.
It seems like sitting here, your driver standings, you got Justin Moffat with the Crazy Rabbits Racing sitting in your overall spot at 211 points. Sean Williams followed in second place at 195, down 16 points. And rounding out your top three is Justin Griswold sitting at 173. Fourth place, you got Kevin Johnston, the first of your Johnstons, sitting at 168 points. Right behind him, Kyle Cumber at 161. Sixth place, Rob Moorhead sitting at 157. Place 7, JP Johnston, your second Johnston, of 149 points. And tied, actually, technically in points right now, is the number 8 of Steve Foster with 149 points as well. Alexander Giordano staying in the top 10 with that Honda NSX of his at 136. Tied at 136 for the top 10 is Eric Rudderham. Stephen Dutton is your 11th place, 128. 12th, Henry Ramirez. 13th, Raf Cab. 14th, Ryan Garrity. 15th, Justin Rosenthal. 16th, Steven Music. 17th, Spencer Taft. 18th, Landon P. 19th, Stefan Buckley. Number 20, Thomas Greer. 21st, Matt Matissey. 22nd, Kyle Miller. 23rd, Caleb Tenney. 24th, Jorby GTG. 25th, Matt Anderson. 26th, Jacob Busterik. And
Absolutely, and we're going to head out on track now. Got the first cars coming in, starting with their flying laps.
as you
with Taft in the Lamborghini.
As you can see here, the track is very wet. The rain is coming down heavy right now for their qualifying session. Gives them a little bit of time to get warmed up to it, but also makes qualifying a little bit tricky. Trying to get a good time down, but also to stay within track limits and keep from sliding off track and actually getting a qualifying time in.
Absolutely. Nurburgring GP here is already near a 2-minute lap time in the dry. In the wet, you're going to add quite a few seconds to that. With only 10 minutes for qualifying per split in silver and gold, it's really vitally important to go ahead and get your banker lap in early so you can just not have to worry about it. At least you'll have a time up on the board. Although I suppose the other alternative you could be thinking about is if you're not too confident in your banker lap, you may want to go ahead and maybe even not put in a lap and just accept starting from the back and just kind of mitigate the risk of getting involved in any kind of chicanery or tomfoolery. As we see Assetto come across the line here for the fastest by about 6/10 still, at 2:06.6. Time start filtering in. We're starting to see GT with a 2:07 flat, 𝐉𝐵𝐻𝐿 with a 2:07.2, Mertson in P5, a 2:07 Music, 𝐕𝐴𝐵𝐿, and Stephanie Fisher. Rounding out the current times, I say a little too quickly as Stephen Buckley comes in with a 2:07.037 in the Lexus. Lexus, of course, one of the best sounding cars in the game. That is a fact. It cannot be disputed.
That is 100% fact. It's got that real just pure V8 beautiful sound to it. Just I mean, I could sit there and turn that car on in the pits and just listen to it idle the whole time. It's just a beautiful sounding car.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the best sound experience cars.
Absolutely.
In ACC, and honestly, I would even go as far as to argue in general.
Oh, 100%.
Watch 𝐕𝐴𝐵𝐿. We're on board with 𝐕𝐴𝐿. Really hoping he can keep this together, because he is up 1.8 seconds right now.
This should, if my math is correct, put him on provisional pole, no?
Yes, it does, by half a second, too.
Yeah, really setting the tone there with that lap, 2:06.157.
Music with some good improvement as well, getting to a 206.4, further unseating Assetto. Is currently early in his lap.
Rosenthal is up almost 8/10 coming into the last corner here.
Yes, he is.
Should give him a
good improvement. This
great
should put
boost
him
for
up
him.
to P4, I would think.
Yep.
Yep.
Great push.
That's having some good.
Looks like Stephanie Fisher's got some good improvement about halfway through her lap. Or no, sorry, we're early on in the lap with her.
Early on, but if he can keep that together, that'll be a rock solid time for her.
Sliding that Porsche around in the rear. Lost some time. Got a little loose in the rear there, coming through that quick right or left right. One of the toughest sections of the track, in my opinion. Toughest sections to keep your delta up and gain time without losing time. Now, talking about hard parts of this track, I think one of the things you're going to see with people having a lot of issues with is the Schumacher S is a tough corner to get down in the wet here.
I wouldn't disagree with you on that, although I would take that a step further and say this the entire track is a little bit of a pain in the wet.
Yeah, it is. It's already a kind of a lower traction track, personally, in my opinion, and then you throw some water on that.
Yeah, this is a track where I really want to love it, and every time I try to, I just, I don't know, things just go awry for me.
I am right on board with you. It's just, I mean, it's such a classic track. It's it's the Nurburgring. I mean, it's classic. When you think of racetracks, you think of Nurburgring. So I want to love this track, but it just something about it. I can't click with it. I can't vibe with it. I just never have been able to find that flow and feel that flow on this track.
Absolutely, and it's always unfortunate because it's one of those things where it's such a fun layout. The vibes ain't there for me.
Rosenthal 5/10 up as he comes across the line here.
Two and GTG unseated 𝐕𝐸. 𝐕𝐸 still sitting in third, still not too far off. Right at 4/10 off. GTG coming in with that 2:05.7, which I'll be curious to see exactly how fast the gold drivers are able to put down. What kind of lap times they're able to do. Curious. I don't think there's quite a dry line forming, but I'm looking at it. Like maybe this just the little inkling of it is starting to form.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it from a driver's point of view here, and I'm not seeing one quite yet. Coming down into the last 10 seconds of the silver qualifier, so these guys on track right now, this will be their last lap to try to get a good time in and improve their positioning.
And Music is a little bit further into his lap currently. Oh, did we speak too soon?
Lost a little bit of time, but still holding it together, up 6/10.
Assetto a full second up.
Oh, where did he find that time as he comes to the chicane here?
1.2.
Coming around the last bend, if he could hold this together.
Please don't get commentator's curse. Hold it together, buddy. Hold it together.
Gaining time coming onto the straightaway.
There we go. So he is going
great lap.
He can take, provisional pole. The 2:05.4. Gonna pull off over to the side there. 𝐕𝐸 coming in to the 2:05.5 for provisional P2.
Steven Music comes up to P2 with a full second gained on that lap for him as he came across the line.
Rodriguez looks like he'll be having a good improvement here.
GTG around the last corner with 5/10 up. That's going to get him bumped up to at least P3, maybe even P2 here.
𝐕𝐸 with a 1.
Oh, that gets him P1.
Oh man, that's a spicy time too. 𝐕𝐸 moving up to P5. I have Tatro coming across the line here momentarily. Gonna actually nab that P5 from 𝐕𝐸. And Rodriguez is coming up here on the final corner. Oh.
Stacking up on his time as well. These guys are finding time in the last laps here, finding a lot of time.
I think
Jumps
there
up
are a
to
couple
P5.
parts of the track where it's,
Drying up.
yeah, just a little bit.
Yep. Which that means the gold drivers are going to get a slightly better track than these silver drivers got to run on. Should be able to put down some good times here.
So I would expect to see Anderson come out swinging. And he is going to lead the pack out onto the first flying lap for the gold drivers.
You know, he was looking at that leaderboard and he wanted to get out front and make sure he could get his times in.
Absolutely. I was watching that last minute practice session here before this race. And I saw a couple of these drivers in here, Anderson being one of them. If I remember right, he was about 2-3 tenths up on 𝐕𝐴𝐵. Now, obviously, that can change session to session. And someone could just find the groove, find a little bit more time. Someone could lose the groove and lose a little bit of time. So, may not be exactly there, but was faster in the practice session. I would expect to see something similar here.
Something about the gold wheels on his car just make me feel like he's gonna go fast. Cause man, does that look good.
Gold wheels they're a classic. They're a classic accent.
Absolutely.
They
some cars can pull it off, some cars can't, but it's hard to find a car that can't.
Yeah, I was just about to say. I mean, cars can't. You're right, but then when they can't, they still do. You know.
No, I see that. Little fun fact here, I guess. His team is SYS. That is the Start Your Systems logo, and I'm wondering if he's actually working with them or not. They are. I don't know if you know who Start Your Systems is.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's actually running with them or what.
So in season 6, SRA had a couple of folks from SYS, Start Your Systems. They are for lack of a better descriptor off the top of my head, they're a motocross video game focused, would you say media company, basically?
Yeah, I say he started out as just a YouTuber and then ended up becoming like more of a content creator, and then they grew the brand to become a more motocross gaming based content creation group.
Okay. So
it's like Ryan Garrity here takes the provisional pole position at a 204.04, sorry.
Yep, Anderson, I saw he had a little bit of a slip up coming out of that last corner. The rear end just got a little bit loose. So he definitely has a little bit more time in his back pocket, but we'll have to see exactly how much. And of course, there's still half of the gold session left, so there's a little bit more time for these drivers to find their groove and see exactly what kind of times they can put down.
Possibly have the track dry out, or just get that dry line start. You can see is starting to grow a little bit more now.
Yeah, I know it's just starting to form, but it is starting to form, and that is going to help these gold drivers shave off at least a couple of tenths off their total lap time.
Garrity, who we're looking at on screen right now, is looking to improve his time even more to try to maybe give himself a little bit more of a lead on this provisional pole here, knowing that he's got Anderson behind him as a very fast driver. He's going to want to try to just extend that ability for Anderson to try to grab that pole from him as much as he can here.
Yeah, currently sitting 3 tenths up on his time. Williams throws his hat into the ring with a 204.9 for provisional P4.
This is Giordano's going to improve his time here as well. Get that NSX a little bit higher up on the leaderboard. Anderson struggles to find a position on that lap. Let's see.
He'll improve a little bit, but not enough to really do anything with.
Giordano up 9 tenths here as he loses it around the chicane coming into the last corner. Still up 5 tenths, looking to improve his time and bring that NSX a little bit higher up the leaderboard here.
The NSX is a tricky car to get right. It's a, I usually refer to it as a great training tool. It's a ton of fun to drive. And with the balanced performance adjustments that SRA does, has brought it back into the fold as being a viable option, but it still is a little bit more tough to come to grips with over the term of a full hour-long race compared to some of the other options out there.
Like Kevin Johnston in the Mercedes is going to be almost a full second up on his time as he comes into the last chicane here. Sitting P11 currently.
Garrity's improved up to a 203.7. First driver to get into the 203. Johnston can get a good drive out of here, which it looks like he's going to falter a little bit. Finish about 9/10 up, which will bump him up into provisional P3. What I was going to say is I don't remember which side of the track. Does P1 start inside? I assume that's usually...
Yeah, P1 starts on the right side. Williams takes a provisional P2 with that lap.
Ooh.
Taking that away from Anderson. Anderson's really going to want to try to figure something out here, as he currently sits 6/10 up, but... Ramirez makes a jump up to P5. This is going to look good for him here.
Provisional pole. There we go, buddy.
That's what he's looking for.
203.6.
Now, does Garrity have it in him to get another? What does he need here? Another at least 10th or more.
At least a 10th and a half.
Yep.
Absolute bare minimum, assuming Anderson botches this lap inside.
And this will be their last lap. This is Garrity's last chance here to get that pole spot back.
Overhead, he's up about 6. Last corner. Might get a little bit of a great drive coming out of it by still 4/10.
Stephen Dutton right behind him. Stephen Dutton a second up on his time minute.
There we go.
Jumps up to P3. Gets enough time for one more lap in there.
Only just, though. Well, no, he's got 40.
Yep.
But certainly...
Looks like everybody is on their last lap now. Last chance for the gold drivers to get themselves into a better fighting position here.
Yeah, Johnston is off, but he will get one last lap. One last chance.
Johnson did have himself was in kind of that mix with Giordano last race where they kind of got a little incidents in the beginning and then fought it out together. So looking to see some more good battles with him this race.
Absolutely. The rain can really promote some close racing because you'll end up with some drivers who aren't normally as close together.
Unfortunately, here for Garrity, Anderson is up 2/10 on his time coming around the last corner, so he's going to extend that lead, and he finds another 10th to be up 3/10. So Garrity's not going to quite have it. That's going to give Anderson the pole for right now. We still have a few more drivers across the line, but it's looking as if Dutton, if he can hold this together, might be there.
I almost don't want to watch.
I almost don't want to watch either.
Maybe we might hit him with a commentator's curse. We'll take a look at Rob Moorhead, who's currently up 6/10. Currently sitting P9. Mate of Kevin Johnston, who's currently sitting in P6 right now, and this could be about 4/10 improvement.
Here comes Stephen Dutton.
Right above his teammate.
Dutton across the line, still 9/10 up. Gives him pole position at the last second. Let the excitement out of him as he flicks that car across the track. He is, he's in his chair pumping his fist. He is excited. Comes across the line on the last possible lap and steals that pole position.
That's got to feel
by
good.
2/10. Love that for him. Great run there, Stephen Dutton.
Stellar Sector 1 from him, too, a 58.3. I mean, just kind of glancing through, that looks like it's 6/10 up on
Wait,
anyone
Sean
else
Williams
just
here.
in Sector 1.
Sean Williams is up 8/10 on his time here. It's not going to give him pole, but it's going to jump him
This
quite a ways up this
could
board.
unseat Anderson. I don't think it'll be quite enough. Nope, he'll take P3.
Just barely. Great run by Williams there to gain himself a couple spots and get up onto that second row.
Absolutely.
Man, that was an exciting qualifying. I'm not going to lie. Gets me
Absolutely.
excited for the
So we'll have-
race.
So Dutton on provisional pole, Anderson second, Williams third, Garrity fourth, who was off to a really quick start early on. Busterski fifth, Johnston and Moorhead sixth and seventh, the two Mercedes drivers. Cumbert in P8, Ramirez P9, Foster P10 to round out the top 10. With that, while everyone prepares for the race in the formation lap, I think this is a great time for us to go and hear a word from our sponsors.
A huge thank you to our SRA sponsors and title sponsors for supporting us here at SRA, as well as support from 𝐷𝐼𝐼𝐳, a modern business solution for product management. Go to 𝐷𝐼𝐼𝐳.com to learn more today. And support from 𝐉𝐴𝐺𝐻, a North American-based gaming company that provides accessories for your favorite classic systems, including Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and much more. Enhance your retro gaming experience today at 𝐉𝐴𝐺𝐻.ca. And a big thank you to our affiliates, Track Racer. Experience redefined gaming with Track Racer's high-quality sim rigs and accessories. Use code SRATE at checkout to support us. Armamentario, a toolbox for ACC that will enhance your chance to win. Enjoy a fully customizable and enhanced HUD to change the way you experience ACC. AT3D Sim Shop. Upgrade your sim racing experience today with premium 3D printed accessories featuring precision crafted magnetic shifters, sleek cable management solutions, versatile stream deck mounts, and immersive dashboard displays. Their innovative designs enhance performance and style, elevate every lap with top-tier quality and craftsmanship at at3d.net. Go Setups, premium esports setups for everybody. Use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level. Castle and Cauldron, a home-based crafting business specializing in handmade Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, and Fairy World collectibles. Magic wands, potions, mini dioramas, wall decor, costumery, cosplay, and much more. Castle and Cauldron is where crafting meets the magical. Visit facebook.com/Castle Cauldron. And from KP Concepts, your source for custom automotive renderings, graphic design, and printing. We spend countless hours making you look all good for the spectacle. Check out kpconcepts.com for more.
All right, well, we have the cars going on a formation lap right now. Let's take a quick look at the track map. Ryan, you want to take over? All right, thank you so much for that track guide, Ryan. We are going to go and on board with our pole sitter Dutton McLaren.
First wet race of the season, and it is starting in wet, unlike other divisions where some of their ratings started in dry. Rounding the last turn here, coming down the front straight. Some of these guys, it looks like Dutton in the front here, no spray. All the other guys in the back having to deal with spray. How are they going to handle it? As we go green with round 4, Nurburgring Division 4. Stephen Dutton gets a good jump, but Anderson's right there with him, side by side as they come into turn 1, coming into the braking zone. It looks as if Dutton's gonna hold on to that P1 spot right now, but Anderson has the inside coming into the next turn, and Anderson's gonna grab it away from him a little bit as they file into single file here, P1 through 3.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering if that P2 might not be a really solid starting position in the wet here, because you can really force P1 off the start. If you can stay alongside them, you can really compromise their entry and exit out of T1, and then you have the inside into T2. And as we just saw, Anderson made great use of that. Really took advantage. So he is going to profit from an early lead. We're on board here with Williams, who's actually dropped back a position down to P4. Security gets around him. Like we've been mostly clean through the start so far. Fingers crossed that this continues. The rain is really treacherous, especially first couple of laps while we try to get a dry line formed.
That's gotta give him props here. Definitely a clean start as we see two cars slide with each other off track, but able to keep it together and get it back on. Is that a Mercedes? I believe that's
𝐕𝐻𝐺 and
Kevin Johnston. Kevin Johnston starts to go off track a little bit there. Gets it back into shape.
Yes, though. That's the wrong Johnston. There's 3 of them, and 2 of them are right next to each other in P9 and 10. Giordano going into the pits early. I don't know what's happened there. I wonder if he's going to go ahead and take his mandatory pit stop and try to get out of the spray, get some clear air.
There's another car going in behind him. They might have made contact, or a lot of cars going into the pits. Maybe they accidentally started. You stay on this car real quick. Let me see as he goes by. Yes, he's on slicks.
Oh.
You can tell these cars, they have yellow tire lettering on the slicks, no tire lettering on the wets. They must have all accidentally started on slicks.
Wait, tire lettering is on wets or slicks?
Is on dries. Oh no, they're on wets. Yeah, he is on wets. I'm not sure.
I think you might have that back. I think. No?
The slicks have tire lettering of yellow tire lettering. No lettering is wets. Here's what I believe they might be doing, because it's been talked about a lot. You can run wets for quite a while. You can run an entire hour race on wets. They don't wear out as bad as slicks do because you're not pushing as hard. You're not on the limits the entire time, and the water kind of helps, act as a little bit of a lubricant to the tires between the pavement. So you can run wets for a very long time. A lot of people's strategy is get that tire change out of the way. Go for basically a massive undercut.
Yeah, super mega ultra undercut.
Which I believe that's what's happening right now with all these cars is they're getting that tire change out of the way. They're pitted, they're done. Now all they have to think about is driving.
I think you're right, because I didn't see any damage on those. It looked like they were all on wets. So I think that's all that was.
It's definitely been a talked about strategy before with these wet races, because like I said, these wet tires, you can push them and they're going to last you the entire 8 hours, no problem.
Yeah.
Might as well get that tire change out of the way now and have just only driving to think about.
Absolutely, and I think I saw more discussion about it for this wet round than I have at any of the past ones, honestly. So that makes a lot more sense. I'm glad that there's just a strategy call and it's not due to the results of any contact or damage or anything like that. You know, we love to see clean races here, and it's always heartbreaking when something comes to an end just from a mistake. We're on board with Anderson looking back, and he is a couple of spots where Dutton is closing up on him, but he's maintaining a gap. He's building and maintaining. Garrity,
yeah.
Fastest lap of the race with a 2:03.8. A bit faster than anyone else. Dutton was at a 2:03.9. Not a huge delta there, but a little bit. So we could see Garrity moving forward.
Looking back through the pack here, there's a lot of still very close driving, especially for being in this wet. So a lot of these guys, they're not in clean air, and they are going to be they're battling the water, the track, and each other right now. So still plenty of bumper to bumper racing going on for these first few laps. Anything could happen here.
Absolutely, and anything could tighten back up at any point during the race too. When someone starts to sneak away just a little bit, we'll end up making some small mistake. It'll let the gap close back up a little bit.
Absolutely. You're one of the strategies in the rain is to you know, stay alive. As 𝐕𝐴vcab gets spun there a little bit.
That was
by I believe that was Scott Johnston. No,
not 𝐕𝐴v. That was Stephen Buckley, his teammate.
Oh.
And you can see it looks like Rodriguez also ended up getting spun out as well.
Yep. Unfortunately, good chance there's going to be a lot of that happening in this race today here.
Yeah, I mean, if you just get a little bit of a bad drive out of a corner, suddenly the closing rate changes from what it was last lap. So
Absolutely.
very easy to have these small mistakes that, unfortunately, can turn catastrophic. We see a little battle here with GTG Johnston and 𝐂𝐨𝐬𝐧.
Can see a dry line slightly starting to form on the track.
Williams has closed right back up on the back of Dutton here. Garrity's gotten around.
Williams looking at the inside here of Dutton, decides to step back, and as he opens it, Dutton goes a little wide, and Williams makes it through the inside. As they go door to door, Dutton gets a little slidey on that curb there. As they come in side by side through the S's, and Dutton backs out for safety purposes. Smart call by Dutton there, as Williams makes it around for that P3 spot.
Absolutely, but it's got to be disheartening to start on pole and then to get shuffled back in just the opening laps, all the way back to fourth.
Absolutely. Like we keep saying, rain is the great equalizer during these races. Anything could happen, you know, especially when you get into the spray. You know, you might, with puddles forming too on these tracks, you might break in a spot where somebody else doesn't, and you don't have traction, but they do. And it's just, there's just so much variability during races like this that it makes things very interesting.
Absolutely. Take a look at 𝐕𝐴vcab. 𝐂𝐸 not quite able to make use of the Bentley power, take advantage of it.
Yeah, Griswold here, Jay Griswold and Jay Johnston, bumper to bumper teammates with the beautiful purple and black Mustang liveries out here. As 𝐕𝐴vcab decides to get in the mix there on the back of Jay Griswold, as Griswold's teammate Johnston starts to pull away from him a little bit here. 𝐕𝐴vcab trying to make some positions back from his slide last lap, trying to work his way back up through the field here.
He's hanging right on the back of Griswold there.
Yeah, he's not. He's definitely not letting him go.
But I think Raph realizes got 50 minutes left. This is a long race. This is going to be a race that's about survival as much as anything else.
Absolutely.
He
We're
just
only
has to
10
stay-
minutes.
He just needs to stay within striking distance, and he'll be okay. But at the same time, he doesn't want to get too complacent. He's got Foster, Butterham, and GTG right behind him, ready to pounce for the exact same circumstances. Starting to see
Anderson, go ahead, sir.
starting to see the field stretch out just a little bit through parts of this.
Absolutely. Anderson's starting to pull his lead to about a 2-second lead right now. With those beautiful gold wheels of his.
Oh, Ryan, you and your gold wheel. As Garrity sneaks the fastest lap back with a 2:03. Now, right on the nose at 0.2 faster than Anderson last time around.
No, I don't believe he's gonna have to keep doing that
absolutely.
if he's gonna want to close the gap on Anderson, and that's a big ask to keep running fastest lap pace every single lap to try to close a gap on somebody. So, see what he can do there. At this point, with a rain race like this, one of the things you're thinking if you're Garrity here is maybe not even pushing as hard as you can to catch him. Just keep him in distance, so if he makes a small mistake, you can close that gap a little bit more, and then he makes another small mistake, you can close that gap even more until you're there. You don't have to do everything you can to catch him. You just need to stay in distance, because the possibility of, you know, even getting a little bit of a slip on, not a full spin, just a slip on a curb, that's going to help you close that gap up. So just keep people within grasps here.
Yeah, and he may very well know that Anderson was having a little bit of trouble early on in qualifying, coming out of the Coca-Cola curve, their last corner on the track. Thinking that he may have some sort of an opportunity to start closing that gap, knowing that Anderson is not, in fact, infallible.
Another thing that I love, other than gold wheels, is something about watching two teammates driving side by side or right next to each other on this track at the same time. Something about it I just love to see as we watch Jay Griswold and Jay Johnston on the track together.
Hop over, and it looks like Tatro is trying to get around Mattis. Not going to be quite able to make it happen. Be able to pull up alongside, but quite close the deal. Massey's going to go a little wide. Get off into the paint where there's even less grip.
Tatro looks like he's gonna have a run on him here. Onto the inside of turn 12, they make a little bit of contact, pushes him off wide. That is a very dangerous spot to go too wide through in the wet. The inside car is gonna slide out 10 times out of 10. Gonna slide out a little bit wide, and very, very dangerous spot to do that. But luckily, both cars are able to at least hold it together, and Mattis can stay in the fight.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just a tough spot to try and make a move, especially safely, like you were saying. Hop back over to this Griswold Cab fight because they are staying right close to each other. Cab really closing up onto the back of Griswold here.
These are two manufacturers of cars that are very fast straight line speed, so neither one of these drivers is able to just walk away from the other on the straight. Makes it for a very close battle here, as it seems as if Griswold has closed that gap up to his teammate Johnston here, just ever so slightly.
I'm wondering if Johnston and Griswold don't have an arrangement where Griswold's running inner, and he's realized that he's got to pick up the pace to keep Raph behind him.
Very well could be. That is within the legal rules. As long as you are not blocking, you are allowed to help a teammate out by trying to slow up another car, slowing him down into the apex. As this 𝐕𝐴v𝐺 looks to the outside of this turn here, they go too wide to the corner, not quite able to make it stick as he looks on the inside of the next corner, and 𝐺𝐨𝐲𝐺 shuts the door on him there.
Yeah, that was a bold attempt, but that's a really risky move. Turn 10, really, it seems like it's more of a throwaway corner. Honestly, kind of like turn 10A at Road Atlanta, where you really just use it to set up for turn 11.
Absolutely, and that whole situation there has made things very interesting for 𝐕𝐵 here, as Stephen Foster was able to close the gap in on him, followed by quite a long train of GTG and Rudderham. So we have that just turned this from a three-way battle into a few more cars here, and gives Johnston a little bit of breathing room up there in the front of the battle.
And we got another Johnston, like he might have. I don't know if he just made an overtake or just.
Ooh.
That turned out okay for GTG. That could have gotten very ugly very quickly. I don't know if Johnston is moving up or moving. He's moving up. He got around.
Moving up, yeah. We have a pile of cars here. Is that is Rudderham looking on the outside here. That's going to give Steven Music the spot on Rudderham as they go too wide into the turn. Rudderham on the insides. Not able to make anything happen in that Audi. And that lets Steven Music by.
That's going to let 𝐕𝐵𝐺 and Demmler both. Oop, as 𝐕𝐵𝐺 gets just a little bit loose coming out of that corner.
Which gives Demmler a spot over 𝐕𝐵𝐺, but 𝐕𝐵𝐺 wants it back as he goes to the inside of the hairpin.
Yes.
Able to make the inside line stick in that Bentley. I believe that's because he is sitting on the right-hand side of the car, so he was able to see the apex just slightly better than Demmler was.
Well, it's the advantage of being on the right side, you know?
That's the only advantage of being on the right side.
Oh, there are plenty of advantages. Like being in the Bentley. And as we all know, including all the viewers, we all know that Bentley car is best car.
Looks like we have a incident here with the 46 car. What is happening with him? Or sorry, 461, not 46. I just saw him dropping through the field. That was Rob Moorhead as he drops all the way back to P31. Something happened in the last corner coming onto the front straight. Wasn't able to catch exactly what happened, but I just saw his name dropping through the field there.
Yeah, that I don't know, and I don't know that we're going to catch it on.
Luckily for Moorhead, he has finished his pit stop already early on. And
Johnston must have had some sort of issues dropping back. He's back behind GT and Scott Johnston now. Dropped back to 13th, which...
Yes, he has.
Raff, Griswold, and Foster still fighting, though they are breaking away from Foster a little.
Raff still all over the back of Griswold here, trying to make something move, or some move stick here. Not quite able to find exactly where, but he's looking for it for sure.
Oh,
poking his nose into some places, kind of testing the water, literally the waters, seeing what's gonna work. You know, with these wet tracks, you got to find where the slippery spots are, where everything is. So when it comes to passing, sometimes you need to feel it out, find what's going to work, what's not going to work before you're able to actually make your move. This fight from P12 all the way to P17 is gonna stay interesting for quite a while, I believe, as they are just staying. They are staying close. They are almost an 86 car train here.
Really, and it's not even just P17. It's all the way back to P20. 𝐕𝐵𝐺 is just a second off of Taft, and Rim's just a second off of 𝐕𝐵𝐺.
Yeah, Travis Tatro. That is a tongue twister. All over the back of rimsick here.
JP Johnston going into the pits.
Wonder if he took damage from whatever happened to him, or if he's just trying to get his tires out of the way. Doesn't look to be damaged.
I would think that it didn't look like he'd picked up any damage. I'm guessing he's saying, I feel confident in making these tires last the rest of the race. I'm going to go ahead and take my pit stop, get out, try to get out into clean air, and at least quit bleeding positions.
Absolutely. If you're in a train like that and you end up, maybe having an incident, having a little bit of slip, making contact with somebody, and you start dropping back positions, sometimes the best course of action is just get out of that train, because when you have an incident like that, a lot of the times you maybe not lose focus, but you kind of lose your groove a little bit, while everybody else is still in their groove, and that's going to cause you to just keep dropping positions. So get out of the fight, go get some fresh tires, get some clean air, find your groove again, and get back into it.
Absolutely. It's understated how hard it is to find your groove while you're trying to battle with 6 or 7 people all at the same time. As 𝐲𝗏𝗺 goes off, and that is going to let Cab and Foster through. Just going little bit wide there.
Exactly what we were just talking about. Cab's been all over the back of 𝐲𝗏𝗺. Wasn't able to find anywhere to make it work. But sometimes in this rain, you don't need to find something to make it work. You need just to stick with them and wait for something to happen and capitalize on it when it does.
Not a soul out here is infallible. Everyone is going to make mistakes. No matter of how severe those mistakes are going to be and whether or not anyone else is close enough to capitalize on it.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, he had a couple of people close enough to capitalize on it.
You stated that perfectly. The name of this game is, if you're behind, be close enough to capitalize on small mistakes.
Absolutely. Check back in with the leaders up here.
Steven
Anderson
Dutton
still maintaining about a 2-second lead over Garrity. Garrity just hanging back right now. Dutton is closing up, though. I wonder what's going on for Garrity here.
Well, Dutton did just run the fastest lap of the race at the first 2:02.7. So Dutton has found a little bit of pace here.
Mentally reset and found himself again. And it looks like he got around Blue at some point, though, which didn't see happening there. How far back that was. Buster still back of Raf Cab here. Half a second off. This is one, he's in the top 10. Doesn't necessarily have to push. He could just sit back and wait for a mistake, especially if he stays within that 1 second ring.
Absolutely. And he's do the same thing that Raf did with 𝐲𝗏𝗺 here. Just stay there. Just stick with him. I mean, we're 37 minutes left in this race. Just stick with them and see what happens. Minimize your mistakes and be ready to capitalize on theirs.
Absolutely.
As Stephanie Fisher's been sitting in the pits for quite a while, I would say it's safe to believe that they have called their race. Probably had some incidences early on, and sometimes, especially with these rain races, you have enough incidences early on, it gets stressful. It's definitely one of the more high stress races, and it looks like they may have called the race for themselves.
Yeah, which is always unfortunate to see, but we do get one drop race here in SRA if this is just not shaping out the way you want it and you're just getting frustrated, it can make a lot of sense just to go ahead and take your drop race, not risk piling up any penalty points and getting a pit lane start or quali ban or anything like that.
Absolutely. This Dutton's closing this gap up on Garrity even more, but also Sean Williams closing the gap up on Dutton. So we're about to see what could be a three-way battle here between Garrity, Dutton, and Williams for that podium position.
Still got a close battle. We'll keep an eye on that. Still got a close battle back here for 12. A tight-knit group from 12 to 15 of Music, Johnston, Rudderham, and Demler. All sitting here within a second of each other.
Absolutely, and GTG right off the back bumper of 𝐲𝗏𝗺 right in front of them. Great battles going on between this group right here. Has been fighting each other. Everything's starting to spread out a little bit, but there's a few groups sticking together on top of each other.
Absolutely. Does seem to be the most exciting battle, though. And Johnston. Take a look at the lead. They are still sitting. Security's closed up onto Anderson a little bit, about a second and a half off. Dutton and Williams have each fallen back. They're each about right at a second off each other. Then Busterski sitting in 5th, kind of off in no man's land a little bit. About 5 seconds adrift of Williams, but about 3 seconds. All this closing up right now. About 2.5 seconds up on Ramirez.
Yeah, just kind of living his own world right now, which is not a bad place to be when it's raining like this.
Absolutely not. No drama. No chicanery. No silly geese.
Lacey is looking on the back of Astudillo here, as he's been kind of on the back bumper of him, just keeping himself present right there on the back of his car.
Yep, staying in his mirrors, but not necessarily making any big dive bombs. Though he does have to be a little bit careful. He does have Rodriguez right behind him, who is going to be looking to make a move and recover.
That looked like somebody as Lacey here looking to the inside of Astudillo. Gosh dang, I can't say that.
Yeah, Astudillo looks like he's got a little bit of damage on his nose there too.
Might be losing some straight line speed as Lacey comes on to the inside here. That'll give Astudillo the inside of the next corner, and Lacey not able to make anything of it. Now, I will say when we... as the Rodriguez... Now, Lacey fighting with Astudillo there in the front has allowed Rodriguez to close the gap on him as Rodriguez looks to the outside. Goes a little wide here. Looking maybe for an inside move. Not quite there. Falls back in line with Lacey. I did see when they came around the last corner there, this group right here, there was a Bentley in the wall of the pit entry.
Yeah, that was
sideways.
Like, Madison. He
Madison,
come in a little bit too hot and lost a little bit, I guess.
That's what you would assume.
But you know what we say about assuming. It's usually not the best thing to do.
Yeah, watching back the replay, Madison was he was entering the pit lane. He was in pit lane, going to make his pit. Came around the pit, like the pit wall, or pit lane here. Ooh, Lacey goes off track. Pit lane follows turn 1, and as he was coming around turn 1, he gave it a little bit too much throttle and slid and T-boned himself into the entry wall of pit lane, giving himself just a little bit of damage to repair before going into the pits.
Hey guys, you're doing some work anyway, so I'm gonna give you a little more.
Yep.
It's gutting to see that happen, though.
Hey pit crew, I know you guys are having to work in the rain. How about changing the side of my car?
Clear. Garrity, Dutton, and Williams. Anderson has started to check out again, and he's a little over 2 seconds now. Dutton just 4/10 off of Garrity, and Williams just 2/10 off of Dutton. He could see the moves being made here very shortly, and it looks like Williams is not quite close enough, but he's having a look.
This is what Anderson's hoping for here. He's hoping this little battle lasts as long as possible so that he can try to build a gap on his lead just a little bit more. Hoping these three guys fight each other.
Yeah, these three guys really need to just work together rather than fighting each other if they want to have any shot at the win. Although Anderson has really been keeping it clean from as much as we've seen, so even if they don't fight each other, I don't know how much they might be able to really...
And there goes Garrity into the pits. Deciding, I think he realized that Dutton might have had a little bit of pace on him. decided to go into the pits to get some fresh tires.
He
Try to get
didn't want none of that English smoke.
Go off in the pits, get out of the fight, get some fresh tires, maybe get some clean air, and get some pace back up.
Absolutely. As Williams and Dutton fight, they'll slow each other up a little bit. He might have had an opportunity to get away, but they've been fighting for a little bit, and he wasn't really able to make it work. So I think pitting was probably, if it's not the best option, it's certainly up there.
It's a good option for him at this time because, like you said, Williams and Dutton are still fighting, so that is going to slow their pace down, which will just benefit his pit stop just a slight bit more.
Yep, and we will be coming up on the halfway mark here in just a handful of seconds. So if his tires were starting to go a little bit, getting a fresh set of tires on with a lighter fuel load should work out well for him.
And we're starting to see a few cars going to the pits. Coming into this halfway mark is when you're going to start seeing. What I'm really excited about is to see all these early pitters, Giordano and a couple other guys, see how this plays out for them now that everyone's going to. So Giordano's sitting P23 right now with a first lap pit stop. Pretty excited to see where he ends up as all these other cars start to filter in and out of the pits, and to see how well that strategy played out for him.
Looks like Garrity's going to come out into team.
Still plenty cars ahead of him to pit, but he has himself some clean air right now. Nobody behind, nobody in front. Try to get some pace up here. Try to get some hot laps in before Dutton and Williams get their pits in.
Absolutely.
As Dutton and Williams decide to stay out for another lap here.
Williams has been going long before his pit stops. Be curious if he does the same thing. I mean,
absolutely. I'm sure. To be honest, this might be one of his longer stints. If I were to make a guess here, because of the fact that wets can stay grippy for so long, he might run this one down to the wire.
I mean, that's the thing, is he couldn't really run it much longer than he has in the past because he's been pitting with 10 minutes left.
Yeah. Yep.
You know.
So, 'cause, I mean, you got two sides of a coin here. You got the first lap pit because your tires can run so long, so might as well get some fresh tires for the whole race, or you run these tires all the way to the very end and just do a pit at the end, which usually is not a good strategy. Usually doing like a last few minutes pit stop, unless you're way out front, won't benefit you very much, but you can run these tires for quite a long time without having to go in for your pit. Rudderham into the pits, Griswold into the pits, Robichaud into the pits. Kevin Johnston on the back of Mertzen here, as Mertzen starts to pull away just so slightly. But Mertzen coming up on the back of Giordano. This is for position, as they both have already completed their pit stops, as well as Johnston.
Both of them are racers who decided to pit on lap 1 as Giordano cuts the chicane. That could be a track cut.
Yeah,
he kept enough
he
speed
was,
to keep
he was
position.
fast. He was fast to the grass. As Johnston gets all over the back of Mertzen here. Johnston looking to the inside as there's pit lane, people leaving the pits. Oh my goodness. Johnston was looking to the inside. I don't know if he didn't see that Griswold and Rudderham were coming out of the pits, and he dipped into the pit lane line a little bit. Luckily noticed last minute and able to drive the car back to the left and avoid a collision there.
Yeah, well,
and that
he might have just miscalculated how wide that pit lane exit is, and thinking that there was a little more space for the cars coming out to yield.
And that does build a very large train here. Looking back through all the cars here from this perspective, we got ourselves almost a 6-way battle here.
As Dutton's in the pits finally, the Williams will inherit P2, 4 seconds adrift of Anderson. Hey, so I'm just going to say this. I think Anderson might be in a really good spot right now.
Yeah.
I think so.
I'm gonna say he's looking really good right now.
Starting P2 might have been the move. But again, as long as you can control that outside through T1 and make use of it.
Yep, because you get the inside on T2, and T2's a long corner, so it's easy to do what he did and take that P1 spot pretty quickly. Now, that being said, this is a rain race, and I'll leave it at that.
Oh, absolutely. Anything can happen. Anything can happen in a dry race. That's why we go racing.
The thrill of what could happen, just at any minute, things could just change within an instant.
Oh, absolutely.
As the last few cars are getting their pits in, still quite a bit of cars out there. Still needing to get those tires changed to get their mandatory pit stop.
Looks like
Taken care
Johnston
of.
got through and got around Giordano, though.
Does that mean somebody else who was in the fight with them? Maybe they went off into no, they didn't go into the pits.
It was Rosenthal, right? Or no, it was
I don't
Mertzen.
remember. Mertzen, that's who it was. What happened to Mertzen? Dropped all the way back to the end of the train.
No,
There's
he could have just gotten the rear end a little bit loose. There's any number of things
Yep.
that can happen.
Absolutely.
It had to have been a small mistake, otherwise he would be much further back
Yeah.
than just at the back of this.
Yep, he just lost some spots and still in the fight. Now Kevin Johnston on Giordano. I don't believe Kevin Johnston pitted first lap. He was out for a while, if I believe I'm remembering correctly.
Like Anderson went ahead and took his out.
Who'd have thought? Oh, Anderson gets onto the curb, or sorry, Williams gets onto the curb there, almost loses it, but able to hold it together. Mr. Longston out here driving away. I mean, if you're gonna be known for something, and the thing you're known for is having a interesting strategy of extra long stints, but you make it work, I love to see it. I mean, I like to see people doing things differently. You know, a lot of people pit in the halfway mark, go for undercuts, pit to get out of a battle. This guy here, Williams, he doesn't care if he's in a battle. He doesn't care if it's 20 minutes left in the race. He doesn't care if his tires are screaming. He runs those long stints, but he makes it work for himself, and I love to see it.
He is going the distance. He is going for speed. Watching Garrity trying to get around Buckley. Back in P8, Buckley not taking his pit stop yet.
Garrity with the fastest lap.
There's with the 2.5 as it's icy time.
Not able to make anything happen quite yet.
Not quite,
Still a little
but
far
it is
back.
coming.
As you're
and Buckley's going to go ahead and take his pit stop here.
Yep.
And that whole interchange is going to let Dutton close right back up on Garrity.
Now Dutton has had the fastest lap of the race for quite a while, and now it has switched to Garrity. So it's looking like we were talking about earlier. Garrity got out of that fight with Dutton and I believe Johnston. No, not sure. Remember who it was, but we were watching Garrity and Dutton fight, and Garrity decided to get out of that fight, going for his pit. as we were talking about, hoping to maybe try to find his pace back, and it looks like he has been able to find that pace again.
Absolutely
over Dutton.
It does, but now that he's got fresh tires, I'm really curious to see exactly what Anderson's like. Looks like he did come out of that pit better off, and Garrity is now 5 seconds up on.
Yep, it looks like Anderson had a total stop time of 32 seconds, where Garrity had a total stop time of 35. So 3-second faster pit for Anderson there.
Well, that makes sense because he was about 2.5 up, and now he's 5.5 up. That tracks.
Looking right now that Anderson does have the fastest pit stop of a 1:02 total time. Just does everything fast. As Williams still out on track.
Who would have thought?
My favorite part about commentating D4 is making bets when we believe Williams will pit. I'm thinking 15, 20.
Yeah, I would be a little surprised if I wouldn't be totally shocked. I'd be surprised if he came in this time. I think next lap around though is probably. Actually, he might go ahead and come in this lap. Because I'm looking at where he's at. He's got a train of cars in front of him that he's going to have to start dealing with blue flags. If I'm in his position, I'm going to go ahead and take the pit stop.
I feel like this is the conversation we have every single. We have this conversation every week.
But
if I were to be
I
him,
will remind you that I called his pit stop
You
time
did.
on the nose correctly at Misano. And he's in
and
the
there he
pits.
goes.
And
you
right
called it again. Called it again. I feel like there's
wrong. This is a
insider.
common
There's
trait.
insider trading. There's
this
insider
is-
trading happening here.
You say insider trading. I say being right because I drive on the right side of the car because Bitly is best car.
I think Vegas is throwing the odds here. I think Williams lets you know before the race the time that he's going to pit. All right, we'll see. We're keeping an eye on.
You are certainly free to think whatever you like.
I will keep an eye on his pit stop time here while you keep an eye on the race.
A close battle here with Johnston and Rimsk. Really closing up and putting the pressure on John. Coincidentally, another Johnston closing up and starting to put some pressure on Rimsk.
As Anderson rounds the last corner and Williams is still at a stop. Williams' car is moving, but Anderson will have plenty of time to get through the first corner without Williams being anywhere nearby. Williams exiting the pit now, Anderson rounding the first turn. Anderson having a 3-second faster pit than Williams, and unfortunately Williams comes out into the battle right next to Dutton and hits Garrity.
Oh,
Williams hits Garrity, and then Garrity hits Dutton and spins Dutton out in turn 1.
Oh god.
Unfortunately, Williams came into T1 just a little bit too high, and he's going to give the position to Garrity, and I believe he's going to give the position to Dutton. Good on him here. Unfortunately, okay, everything fell back in place. Dutton back into right behind Garrity. Unfortunately, that's going to give Dutton a little bit of work to do to close the gap up to Garrity that he already previously closed up. Unfortunate situation there. Williams coming out of the pit. Came in just a little bit. It's hard to come out of the pit and know when to brake for turn 1 because you don't have your normal brake marker. Came into the T1 just a little bit too hot. Gave Garrity just enough of a spin to put him into Dutton, but everything has fallen back into place again.
Obviously, it's far too early to call up with only 16 minutes left. That is going to be a massive, 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 I don't think I can state this enough, absolutely massive benefit to Anderson.
Absolutely. I mean, the way I look at it is they went completely backwards. So that gives Anderson the opportunity to have himself at least one slow spin, turn around and get going again and still hold the lead.
Oh yeah, he's got this made in the shade now, man. he just needs, he can cruise and bring this home. Let's face it, his cruising pace, he's probably gonna, he can back it off. He
Absolutely,
might lose
yeah,
2/10 a lap,
absolutely.
but that's not gonna be enough for Garrett. I don't think.
Yeah. If I was
Especially 'cause-
Anderson right now, my thoughts are just safety. Just bring it home. Keep
Absolutely.
the car in one piece. No need to go for hot laps here.
Absolutely, there's no need to push. There's no need to risk it. There's, you know, and even if Garrity had a, had a perfect time, as Foster is off back in 10.
And comes back on very close to Jay Griswold there. Sorry, Giordano. As Griswold is looking for a move on Giordano here.
Oh, that looks like he might have something.
Looking on the backside of it. Tough corner to pass on in a chicane like that, but
It is, and especially in the wet, there's so much risk of something going
Giordano
wrong.
slips just a little bit, giving Griswold enough to get the drive on him as Rudderham looks to the outside of Giordano. That's all it takes here in the rain is just a little bit of wheel spin when you're in a battle to lose a position.
Aren't wrong. You're not wrong in the slightest.
And if you noticed,
Oh,
as Giordano goes into Rudderham, they both went to the right side, and looks like Foster came into contact with Hopkins as well and spun Hopkins into T1. Yep, Giordano. So for any, I mean, most viewers who race would know this. For viewers who don't, when your wet tires get hot, so Giordano had himself a little bit of a slide that might have heated his tires up a bit. You can go off of the dry racing line into the water down the straightaways to help cool your tires down. And it looked like Giordano and Rodriguez there. No, who was that? Sorry. Either way, it looks like Giordano and whoever the other car were both went onto the wet line to cool off their tires. And when Giordano came back, it was Rudderham. When Giordano came back, Rudderham was already on that dry line, and Giordano came into him. Unfortunate situation there.
not what we love to see.
But what we expected with rain, chaos everywhere.
Absolutely. I'm still sitting in this Johnston sandwich here between JP Johnston in the Mustang and Kevin Johnston in the Mercedes. Looks like he's dropped off a little bit from the back of JP.
I will say the name of this race today was trains everywhere. It's just been 4 or 5 car trains across the whole track all over the place, and love to see it for good racing.
It's the SRA parody, Trains, Trains, and Trains.
Trains, and trains.
Starring Anderson, Garrity, and Dutton.
As Garrity has opened his lead up to Dutton by about 3.5 seconds.
About 3.5 seconds from Garrity to Dutton, and Garrity is making up a little bit of time on Anderson. I think Anderson is just kind of right now, though. Doesn't really have any need to push. No need to risk it. On the other hand, Garrity wants a chance. He's going to have to push it. He's going to have to take some big risks here.
And as he is, he's running in the 202s pretty consistently, so he's not giving up. I mean, he's got a lot of time to make up with not a lot of time to do it, but he is not giving up. Anderson's running in the 203s his last lap, and Garrity seems to consistently be running in the 202s here.
And Anderson, I think, will be a little bit faster this time around. On his last lap, he was trying to navigate around 𝐕𝐴zdersky before 𝐕𝐴zdersky pitted.
Williams closing it up to Dutton here just a little bit. Nothing to make a move on yet. As Giordano all over the back of Griswold here, looking to try to get that spot back that he lost to him.
Quite close enough yet.
Had it down to about a 10th and lost it a little bit as Griswold goes wide off track. And Giordano goes around the outside of him here. Coming onto the long straight, it's going to be a drag race at the end, but that Mustang powers. Giordano gets into the sand a little bit. It's hard to pass on the outside in the wet. Very hard to find the grip, especially when you're off the dry line. Trying to find the grip out there and going wide, it's a tough call to try to get.
It is. Now, I will say, I haven't seen what I've been Oh, no, as Giordano just hops that chicane just a little bit, gets a little too loose and clips the back of 𝐕𝐺ZWALD. Oh.
We hate to see it. 𝐕𝐺ZWALD staying stopped there. Giordano can't find traction in the grass to get going as they could both come back onto track.
That's going to be heartbreak. This is going to be one to forget for Giordano.
Yeah, unfortunate race for Giordano today. Had himself an unfortunate race last week. Made good of it, and then just, you know, the rain. Anything can happen with this rain, and
but with a couple
we're seeing that.
Couple of tough races in a row, it's going to take a toll on him mentally. Always going to be a little bit tough to recover from that. But, hey, look, our next race at Zolder for round 5 will be a little bit kinder to him. At least a little bit. A little bit being the bare minimum that we want to see. Improvement for how the race goes for him. Looks like the gap between Anderson and Garrity's opened back up a little bit to 11.5 seconds. Anderson setting his fastest of a 2:02.6.
As Williams takes the fastest lap of a 2:02.1, almost into the 2:01s as he's on the back of Dutton here.
That is a rapid time.
Absolutely.
Check in. Just not quite close enough to make a move up there in P4. We'll take a look at Bemler trying to get around 𝐕𝐺ZWALD here. Not quite able to make anything happen quite yet. Like 𝐕𝐺ZWALD's also catching up onto the back of Johnston. End up with another three-way battle. Got Rimsk still sitting in between, but it looks like Kevin Johnston has closed up pretty dramatically. Is right on the back, and he is raring to make a move. He knows he's got 8 minutes left, and he wants to make this happen. Right here and right now, but he's not quite close enough yet. He's going to have 𝐕𝐺ZWALD on his back, too, that he's going to have to contend with.
Absolutely. We're coming down into these final minutes of the race. It's the make or break point for some of these drivers. Those moves you've been sitting back waiting to make. As we get a drive-through for the car 223 of
That's going to be Assetto.
As he, I would assume, track limits for that drive-through penalty as he's clearing that right now, driving to the pits.
I would guess it might have come from the chicane.
Yep. Anderson runs an even faster lap for his best time of a 2:02.495. We said Anderson can just kind of breathe a little bit. No need to go for hot laps. Just kind of keep the car alive and just go in. There he is, absolutely tearing the track apart.
I'm going to guess he's feeling pretty cozy in that Mustang right now, though.
Oh yeah, I mean he's had very few mistakes, couple slips and slides here, like as you're gonna have guaranteed in a wet race. You know, lose the rear end just a little bit, but overall race for him, he's held it together perfectly. So why not continue on the same strategy that's been working?
Absolutely. We take a look with Rudderham on board, trying to get around Mertz and not quite able to make the move yet, but he is hanging back there, waiting and just trying to see exactly where he can make it. Going to have a little bit of a look into the chicane here, but not going to act on it yet. As we saw with Giordano, it is a tough spot, and even something going just slightly wrong can be catastrophic. As Rimps tries to come around Johnston in turn 1, he's going to hold the outside. And the other Johnston, Kevin Johnston, the Mercedes, Gonna come through, as is 𝐕𝗫𝗺, it looks like. Rimps just starts to lose the rear through turn 2 there. Plenty of action on track right now. 𝐕𝗫𝗺 qualified P5, so we've got to think he's going to be looking to make some moves forward.
Johnston and 𝐉𝐵𝗺 off track came together right in front of that little battle we were watching there.
No, not the
Not
Bentley.
sure. Not sure what happened, but it looks like 𝐉𝐵𝗺 and Johnston came together for a little incident there. As we saw with Rimsk trying to make a move on Jay Johnston there, that's one of the downsides of attempting a pass, is if you go for a move and you cannot make it stick and there are people behind you, there is a good chance you're going to lose a position because now you're offline and don't have a good drive like the other cars behind you. And that's unfortunately what happened to Rimsk when he tried making a move there, lost 2 positions to K. Johnston and 𝐕𝗫𝗺. 𝐕𝗫𝗺.
Oh, as Johnston is going to just cut that chicane massively. Going to let 𝐕𝗫𝗺 come through unchallenged. Keeping an eye on the battle for 3rd as Williams is slowly falling off of Dutton. Sitting right around a 2nd off. Still got a tidy little train here going for 12th, 13th, 14th, and honestly, really even all the way back to 18th with Taft. None of them more than a 1.5 seconds off of each other. But I think 𝐕𝗫𝗺 is going to be the next move we probably see.
All over the back of Johnston here.
Well, and as we saw from quali, he's got the pace. He qualified P5. Whereas Johnston, I want to say, was a little lower, not much. I think Johnston was more like P8, 9, right?
Yeah, Johnston moved his way up to the field pretty well.
I think the big winner from the, at least from strategy anyways, has been Rosenthal, though, currently sitting P7.
Absolutely.
If I'm not mistaken, he's one of the, he's part of the group that pitted on lap 1.
I believe you're correct. So it worked out very well for him.
And it looks like 𝐕𝗫𝗺's had a little bit of a slip up, and that's going to let Kevin Johnston close right up on him. As we see a move for Taft getting around 3rd Johnston of the group, Scott Johnston here, for P17.
I might have to make a request to the SRA admins, directors, whatever you want to call them, next season. 1 Johnston per division, please.
I think we might have to multiples of the same last name. They get nicknames, and that's how they're going to be addressed, and that's how their name is going to appear for the stream.
Absolutely. As 𝐕𝗫𝗺 goes up the inside of Johnston here and makes the pass stick. Johnston went a little bit wide, giving 𝐕𝗫𝗺 the opportunity to make an inside move on him. I keep saying 𝐕𝗫𝗺, but it's 𝐕𝗫𝗺.
Yep.
Sorry about that. 𝐕𝗫𝗺.
I mean, I guess we should at least be grateful for the fact that we don't have 3 Johnstons on the same team, or even 2 on the same team. Although they do seem to end up right next to each other on track quite frequently.
I do find it a little upsetting that the Johnstons didn't team up.
I know, you could have had Johnston and Johnston.
Johnston and Johnston
An
Racing,
SRA
come
team.
on.
Johnston and Johnston, an SRA team.
As Kevin Johnston is all over the back of Jay Johnston. Sorry, that's JP Johnston.
We see that Anderson has just taken the white flag, so he's on the final lap.
Oh man, I switched to I took a look at Anderson's car there, and he must have just made a move on Robert Lacey, which is Garrity's teammate, and I could have swore Garrity was on the back of Anderson. Really threw me off for a second there.
No, Garrity is 14 seconds adrift, but Dutton is right on the back of Garrity now.
Absolutely, this is the last lap, Dutton's last opportunity to try to get that P2 spot away from Garrity here.
Man's gonna be going for some last lap magic here.
Absolutely. Williams not in contention as of this second for a podium spot, but with the rain, you never know. But Williams is just trying to stick by to try to get there. And well, I mean, Williams is flying though, trying to get to that
flying,
P3
and
spot.
all it takes is Dutton making a move that's a little too aggressive and doesn't quite work out.
Absolutely, I believe that's what Williams is hoping for. I believe he's hoping that Dutton can get close enough to shoot something on Garrity that maybe gives him the spot, and Williams is closing that gap up. When Williams wants to push, he's a fast driver, I tell you.
He really is.
He just closed a 1.5 second gap in 4 turns down to 0.3.
That's wild.
And all it was a flip of his switch, a flip of the brain, and of him just saying, "This is the last chance for me to get a podium spot. I need to push," and somehow he's just able to find some extra pace that he didn't have before. Great driver, Williams there. But as we're watching Garrity come down the last long straight into the chicane here, hoping to hold on to that P2 spot. Dutton getting close, not close enough to make a move. Williams on a dive on Dutton, inside of Dutton as he comes down the straightaway. They're going to go door to door down the straightaway, and Williams is going to get the podium spot over Dutton on the last corner. Absolutely beautiful pass by Sean Williams in the last corner. Saw Dutton go a little bit wide looking for a move on Garrity, and he just sent it into that corner on a very clean pass to take that podium spot. Absolutely beautiful move by Williams
What a way
there.
to close out that race for him, too.
Absolutely.
We're going to take a look at Johnston & Johnston here in the Mustang and the Mercedes. Coming up to the final chicane here. Johnston had closed it down to just a 10th off of Johnston. But Johnston has been able to extend that lead back out to 0.6 as they're coming into the chicane. Both of these cars great at handling the inside curves there. Doesn't look like Johnston is going to be quite able to make a move on Johnston.
I can't.
𝐲𝐵𝗫𝗄 bringing home the Bentley in P16. You love to see it. That's going to put Anderson P1, Garrity P2, Williams.
Stefan Buckley looking for, Lacey. Who is this? Never mind. This is not for position. They are battling, but it was not for position. I was looking at Stefan Buckley. It looked like somebody was trying to make a move on him, but it was not for position.
Got Anderson P1, Garrity P2, Williams rounding out our podium with the last corner move. Dutton P4, Ramirez P5, Rosenthal P6, and things are shifting around, so we are not going to have an accurate count at the
We had Ramirez 5th, Cumber 6th, Rosenthal was 7th, Cab 8th, Music 9th, and rounding out your top 10 is GTG. Yeah, man, what an ending!
Absolutely.
What an ending there.
Massive congratulations to our podium, and I think especially, got to say, a massive congratulations to Sean Williams for closing that in right there in the last corner. That is one of the most dramatic finishes I've seen in an SRA race.
Absolutely, that was that's what viewers turn in here for. That's what we all, us as racers, that's what we're looking for. Even in Dutton's position, not getting that podium spot and losing in the last corner, me personally as a racer, that's what I'm here for. Those exciting moments, those clenching moments where you're just fighting, putting, like we said with Williams, put everything he had into it. He realized he only had half a lap left to make something happen to get him that podium spot, and he found that pace, he pushed himself, and then saw that opportunity, and he took the opportunity and made it stick. And that's what you're here for as racers. It's just absolutely love to see it.
Oh, absolutely. The drama of this is what gets us excited. And I don't know that there are a few better avenues for that than a rain race.
Absolutely not. And a rain race it was, with quite a few mishaps, quite a few self spins, together spins, where some few cars came together there. But overall, one of the better rain races I've watched in terms of incidences.
Certainly much cleaner than it could have been. Rain, like we've said, we've reiterated this several times. The rain is always such a fickle beast to deal with, just because you never know what's going to happen, and things change so dramatically from session to session. And honestly, even within a race session, you can go from absolutely soaking wet to totally bone dry and back to soaking wet again, just in the span of really even less than an hour. And so it makes the rain races a very unique challenge. Thankfully, this was, for Nurburgring and not for Mount Pano, which in the wet is Mount Pano in the dry is already a beast, and in the wet, man, it's fun, but it's one of the experiences of all time.
Absolutely. I'm gonna bring up our race winner here, Aaron Anderson, to get some words from him. Aaron Anderson, are you there?
I am here.
Congratulations on the P1, first P1 of Division 4. Great race today. You showed really good pace, even in the wet. You were fast last week. You had some incidences last week, but even from the back of the field, you showed that you are a fast driver and have very good pace. Wet race today, you showed the same thing. How was it out there for you, dealing with that rain, dealing with the other cars? How'd your race go for you?
Yesterday, late evening, I made some setup changes to the car. I was dealing with understeer, and I had it dealt with pretty well. I was confident. I actually, set a new PB last night. I was coming into today feeling pretty good, and then the understeer was back. And I was fighting it, and I could not figure out what my deal was. It would seem like it was bad one lap, and then the next lap it was fine. It was kind of like I could hit my marks again, and then the third time around it was understeering like crazy again. I don't know. It was I was trying to figure it out. I was trying to figure out, move my braking points, trying to trail brake better. I really couldn't figure out what to do to get it to work, but it seems like history keeps repeating itself. I had a small gap before the pit cycle, and then all of a sudden the pit cycle happened, and I've got a huge lead. I don't know what keeps happening, but I like it.
Absolutely. You said you were fighting the car a little bit, not exactly the setup you'd like to have had, but it seems like that didn't really affect you too much, as you just showed great pace, and not only great pace, but great consistency throughout the entire race today. At least from our end, seemed like very little mishaps, no spins, nothing bad for you like that. Yeah, it was a great race. Love to see that you finally were able to take a good qualifying and make something out of it without any issues. Got anything for him?
So D3 next week?
I would hope not. That'd be the second time I've been moved this season. I'd like to find a home, but I guess whoever will take me. I'll just go as I am told, I guess. No, I would like to stay. Like I said, I would like to find a good group of guys.
Well, we would like to stay too.
I'd like to stay.
Absolutely. You got Zolder up next week. How do you feel about that track? You ready for it, or are you gonna have to put some extra prep into it?
Usually I only get a little bit of time. I think the first time I was on this track was Monday, and that's usually about how it goes. The last season I raced in SRA would have been season 7, and it was on the calendar then. So I do have some experience, practicing then, but that's been, we're on 13 now, and it was 7, so it's been a while, but hopefully I can knock the cobwebs off.
Absolutely. Can't wait to see what you're going to do out there next week. Good luck, and we'll see you.
Great. Thanks, boys.
Absolutely. Congrats again on the win.
All right. I do not see Ryan. Garrity was the P2, correct?
Yes, Garrity was P2. I don't see him. I do see Will.
We will bring Williams up because I want to talk to him. John Williams.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome back to the booth yet again. Great race today. I really only have one thing to ask you. That move at the end, that was something to watch. That was absolutely had us excited, had us going. That was beautiful. But to take a step back before that, last lap, you were behind Dutton. Dutton was behind Garrity. You were kind of back a little bit coming across the finish line, and we were just talking about how the last lap you need to start to push, kind of give it everything you got, and it seemed like you flipped a switch and decided, you know what, I don't like this 1.5 gap. You closed it down to under 0.3 within 3 turns, and you were all over the back of the Dutton, and that's what gave you the opportunity to shoot that gap into the last turn. Talk us through that last lap a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's not much to talk about. You nailed it perfectly. That was exactly what happened. I was getting frustrated, and I had made contact coming out of the pits, so I figured I would be getting a 5-second penalty. So I was watching the delta of the car behind me, and they were like at 4.1. So on that last lap, I was like, I got to get more gap, and just tried to put in the best lap that I could, and I think I got lucky. You know, whenever you kind of get back away from someone and you can start to see your braking points a little bit better, I think that helped. And then I think I wasn't focused on what they were doing, but obviously they could have been racing a little bit to slow themselves down. And then when we got towards the chicane, it kind of sent it on the chicane, and it worked out. And so then I was there in the braking point for that last corner, and he ran a little wide. Like, if he doesn't run wide, I have to brake and go wide. But just, you know, circumstances worked out.
Yeah, that was an absolutely beautiful pass, and probably, we were saying, one of the best finishes to a race I've seen here at SRA. Door to door coming across the line. Absolutely beautiful move. Late pit again today. Didn't expect anything different from you. I assume there's no strategy behind that besides it's been working, so why not keep doing it?
Yeah. I wish I would have spent more time doing longer stints in the rain, because in my head I was thinking, the tires shouldn't fall off that much. But then I'd make a mistake, and I was like, was that mistake because I'm losing it or because the tires are falling off? And so I was towards the end of my stint, I think I was getting in my own head. In hindsight, especially with the contact coming out of the pits with Ryan, I wish I would have stayed out a little bit longer. But I mean, I saw that that the lead cars were basically in the clear, and there was no one holding them up at all. So I was like, I think I'm just going to be wasting time on these old tires. And so didn't work out this time, but it's definitely my calling card, I guess.
Yeah, well,
absolutely. Go ahead.
You say it didn't work out this time. You're still on the podium, my guy.
Yes.
You know, if this
we're still talking to you.
Yeah, I mean, if the bad race for you is finishing P3, that's got to put some fear into the hearts of everyone else.
Yeah, you know, I'm under a lot of pressure at Champion Motorsports by 𝐕𝐵. He's really cracking the whip. He expects win every race, so it's tough.
Well, for this race today, that should push you up in the point standing pretty well, as Moffitt, I don't believe he was even here today.
No, he wasn't. It's a bummer. It's a bummer. Hope he's all good.
Hopefully you don't get penalized too bad for that pit exit incident, due to the fact that you did give both positions back to Garrity and Dutton. So hopefully you don't get penalized too bad for that. Zolder next week, how do you feel about that track?
Zolder I'm feeling good about, and just need to, you know, put in the sweat, put in a little tears, and hopefully get prepared for next week. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing what you got in store for us, because you are always an interesting guy to watch out there on the track. Can't wait to see what you have for us at Zolder. You got anything else left for him?
No, I think that's it. It's a fantastic race. Again, I mean, if third is a bad race for you, that's gonna cause some issues for the rest of the field.
again, it's my race team leadership. They demand a lot from me, burning their drivers out, just like Red Bull Racing.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. All
Thank
right,
you guys
man.
again for doing these streams again. I know I said it last week, but appreciate it. It's always fun to watch it back. You guys do a fantastic job, so really appreciate it.
Oh, we appreciate
Absolutely.
that. But you guys put on a great show for us too, so it makes it a lot easier.
All right, man. Good luck next week. Can't wait to see what you got in store for us.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you too.
All right, I think that's probably going to round us out for interviews here due to the fact that our P2 driver is not here for a chat.
With that said, the racing is not done yet. Still got 4 more races here on the calendar. Season 13, as has been mentioned, be at Zolder next week. We'll have a bye week after that before we head off to Mount Panorama on February 5th. And it will be a fun one, and then we'll be following that up with Oulton Park on the 12th, which Oulton Park, I love that track a lot. GT3 racing on it is a little tough, but it's kind of become a calling card for SRA as a whole, really. And then we'll be closing out the season on the 19th of February at Valencia with a night race. Valencia is one of my favorite tracks. I think it is a fantastic track to close out the season. There's always a ton of great racing there. It has a fantastic flow, and I really cannot think of a better track. Close out an already fantastic season. Absolutely. Well, I think that'll do it for us this evening. Then your host, Big Daddy, joined by Ryan Van Epps, and we look forward to seeing all of you next week at Zolder. Till then, y'all take care.